How's everybody doing today? In our Bible study today, we're going to be in Psalm 119, starting in verse 113. And before I get into the Bible story part of it, let me tell you a story from when I was in high school. I lived in Knoxville, Tennessee. It used to snow a lot there. Um, you know, so I grew up kind of learning how to drive on snow and ice and things like that, which anytime it happens here, I'm glad I have that experience, although apparently very few people that live here actually do because the whole place goes nuts. But anyway, I was downtown. I don't remember why I was there, but we were at a Crystal's hamburger place, me and some friends of mine. It had been snowing and there was snow all over the place. And if you've never had a Crystal burger, they're like the greatest things ever in the world. So they're little like that. They're on these rolls. Anyway, that's another story. But while we're sitting there, we see this guy kind of from a ways off, and he like runs through 2 or 3 red lights, a stop sign, cuts across the parking lot, crosses the curb and jumps into the Crystals and comes inside. And we were like, dude, what are you doing? And he goes, well, dude, it was, snow, and I thought it was like martial law. And then right after he'd pulled into the parking lot, here comes the police officer. And he quickly found out that that's not exactly what martial law meant, nor were we under martial law. So anyway, I know you're going, what does that have to do with anything? Let's read the Bible verses, then I'm going to tell you about it, all right? It says in verse 113 of Psalm 119, it says, I hate the double-minded, but I love your instruction. You are my shelter and my shield. I put my hope in your word. Depart from me, you evil ones, so that I may obey my God's commands. Sustain me as you promised, and I will live. Do not let me be ashamed of my hope. Sustain me so that I can be safe and be concerned with your statutes continually. You reject all who stray from your statutes, for their deceit is a lie. You remove all the wicked on earth as if they were dross. Therefore, I love your decrees. I tremble in awe of you. I fear your judgments. There's a kind of a tendency now that we're in different circumstances to maybe kind of throw off some of the things. Maybe you were on a diet before and you're sitting around all the time, so you got nothing else to do. So you're eating Oreos left and right or whatever it is. We're eating more, but we also have a tendency to kind of view these really stressful times or times of crisis as though, certain laws don't apply, certain rules don't apply. And so maybe we let our guard down in certain areas. But the thing that I want to point out here is this first part of this Bible verse. It says, I hate the double-minded, but I love your instruction. What's a double-minded person? Well, in our modern day culture, we might say that's someone that's half-hearted. And that's someone that, I do believe in the things of God, but, maybe they're letting their guard down and they're being obedient to the things of God when it's convenient. But when pressure comes and there are difficult times, I don't really have to keep doing that because we justify or we make excuses. I mean, hey, these are different times. But what the author of Psalm 119 says over and over again is that he continues to be obedient to God's commands. That's in every little way. You see, here's the thing. In this passage, several times he's talking about, God, sustain me. Help me through this difficult time. That's a large part of this chapter in Psalms is about. The writer tells that he is in a difficult and a stressful time of life. And over again, he vows to continue to be obedient to the things of God, and he continues to ask God to sustain him and to see him through it. So those two things they're combined, they're tied together. You see, if we want God to protect us, then the best place for us to be is under his authority. And the way that we stay under the authority and the protection of God is by being obedient to his word. In other words, don't let your standards down about what you watch in your home while you're by yourself. Be careful about being obedient to all of God's commands. As for us personally, we're continuing to tithe during this time. Hey, we don't know what's going to happen in 2 or 3 months, and I get that. But we're not going to compromise our obedience to what God's told us to try to stockpile for ourselves to see ourselves through. That's not what we're depending on. What we're depending on is that God will sustain us. And the best way to trust and to know that God's going to sustain us is by being under his protection. And the way to be under the protection of God is to be under the authority of God. Authority is protection. And so you can't just go out and say, well, you know what, I don't need to, I'll worry about being obedient when things are good again. Now, God help me get to where things are good again. That's not how it works. Now, I'm not saying that God punishes us for not being obedient during these times. What I am saying is that when we choose to be disobedient, we step out from underneath the umbrella of God's authority and the umbrella of God's protection. And so you can't be disobedient and expect that God's protection is there when you're out from underneath his authority. So I want to encourage you to look at all the different aspects of your life. And even though I get it, things seem different now, the whole world maybe seems turned upside down in different ways, but continue to strive to be obedient. You know, he talks about, he says, look, I tremble in awe of you. I fear your judgments. Now, it's not talking about fears and being afraid. It's talking about a deep respect and reverence, you know, that you might have towards a parent, a good father, a good mother, that you're respectful of them. And that's what God asks for us. And that's the best way for us to be able to trust in God's sustaining power, is by being under God's authority. And so what I want to encourage you to do is, I get it, we're in a time of crisis, but that doesn't mean that we throw off all the restraints of God's authority. What it really should mean is that we make doubly sure that we're under his authority in our life. You know, and if there are areas in your life that you are not under God's authority, then understand that in those areas you're not under his protection. You know, that's what Malachi 4 talks about, where it says that bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, and I will rebuke the devourer. What he's saying is that when you're not under my authority and you're not being obedient, then guess what? Things are going to happen that I can't protect you from, or I won't protect you from, when you're out from underneath my authority. So we want to be under God's authority. We want to be trusting in his judgments. We want to be in a place where we fear only him. And when we do that, then we trust that God's going to fulfill his end of the bargain. Because you know what? He always does. He always fulfills his promises. He always fulfills his word. You know, there's not a single time that I can look back in my life and think, man, tell you what, that one time God really failed me. It's never happened. And so because it's never happened, because his word tells me that he won't, I'm also trusting that God's going to take care of me. And he's going to watch over my family, and he's going to watch over and provide for us in the days ahead. And my part of that is by staying under his protection, by staying under his authority. So I'm not doing this because we're trying to raise more money. I get it. These are tough times. I'm just telling you the way that my family's trying to go through this. I get it. There's a temptation. Well, you know, man, maybe I need that money later on. What you really need is God's protection. And so whatever that area of life is, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in the ways you honor God by the way you speak, you know, it's not okay to lose control of our language and the way that we talk and the things that we say just because we're in times of crisis. You know, there's an old saying that if you want to know what's inside a bottle, squeeze it, because what's inside comes out. And we're in times of crisis and difficulty and a lot of stress. And don't think that those stresses are going to cause you to act differently. All that's happening is that squeezing of the bottle is going to reveal what's inside. So make sure that what's inside is pure, that it's under God's authority, and that it's being obedient to the Word of God. So hope that helps you guys. Hope you guys have a great week. We're constantly trying to figure out how to reach out to you. If you need something, please let one of us know. If you just need to talk to somebody, let somebody know. You can find all of our email addresses on our website, greenwood.church. Contact anybody that you like, and we would love to connect with you by phone or text or any way that we can to help. If you have questions, you have concerns, if there's something that's on your heart, something bothering you, let us know. We're here for you, and we look forward to the day when we can meet together again. Until then, we'll keep meeting here through the internet. So we'll talk to you soon. God bless. Hey, we would love to hear from you about how God is blessing and protecting you during this time. So if you have a testimony about how you've been choosing to be obedient to God in whatever area that is in life. If you can share that with us through a 1-minute video, you can send that to Justin or Tyler. Their email addresses are there at greenwood.church. And we would love to be able, if with your permission, of course, to share that with the rest of the church. If you just want us to see it, just put that on the email or however it is that you send it to us. But we'd love to hear from you about how God is watching over you and how he's providing and how he's protecting you during some difficult times. Not only would we love to hear it, I think it would be an encouragement to others as well. So just take a short video of yourself telling your story, and we'd love to hear from you.